I've been very positive on stocks for past 18 months or so. So it's I'll just put that caveat in there. But
For sure.
I don't think that there's a lot of
Ordine
there's certainly
compilato.
not a vocal component of people. I think that obviously there's people who are upset with valuations. There's people who are upset that they've underperformed or missed certain trades. But at least at this point, I don't see a big chorus of people who are really, seriously and putting money behind trades that are betting on the downside. And even if you look at, we were talking about hedging. I think, if you wanted to,
Riempito
it's
di
cheaper now,
fermata.
in the past 3 days to hedge
Ordine
than it has been for much of the past 3 months. I would also point out that, we have kind of gone through a back and forth on the growth narrative in the past 6 months or so. The summer sort of brought about some growth scares with
Riempito
labor
di
reports,
fermata.
and then those seem to all pretty much flip except for the most recent BLS report.
Has continued to expand at a solid pace. GDP
Ordine
rose at an annual
compilato.
rate of 2.8% in the third quarter, about the same pace as in the second quarter. Growth of
Riempito di
consumer spending
fermata.
has remained resilient, and investment in equipment and intangibles has strengthened.
Ordine
In
compilato.
contrast, activity in the housing sector has been weak. Overall, improving supply conditions
Riempito
have
di
supported the
fermata.
strong performance of the U.S. economy over the past year. In the labor market, conditions remain solid. Payroll job gains have slowed from earlier in the year, averaging 104,000 per month over the past 3 months. This figure would have been somewhat higher were it not for the effects of labor strikes and hurricanes on employment in October. Regarding the hurricanes, let me extend our sympathies to 4.5% to 4.75%. This further recalibration of our policy stance will help maintain the strength of the economy and the labor market, and will continue to enable further progress on inflation as we move toward a more neutral stance over time. We know that reducing policy restraint too quickly could hinder progress on inflation. At the same time, reducing policy restraint too slowly could unduly weaken economic activity and have mainly to do with Fed policy, but to do with other factors in the
Ordine
economy.
compilato.
If I could follow up,
Riempito. Ordine
is the
compilato.
September SEP, are those rate projections
Riempito di
still valid? Do
fermata.
they still seem relevant given where we are now?
You get halfway through the cycle between
Ordine
the
compilato.
last set and the next set. I wouldn't want to comment one way or the other.
Riempito di
Let's talk
fermata.
about the data we've gotten since the last meeting. I would just say for December, we're going to be, again, at every meeting, we're going to be looking at the incoming data and how that affects the outlook.
Ordine
As you know,
compilato.
we're in the process of recalibrating from a fairly restrictive level at 5.33%. After today's move, we're down 75 basis
Riempito di
points.
fermata.
I think that's where we are. But that's the question we're going to be
Ordine
asking in
compilato.
September and in other meetings.
Riempito di
Again,
fermata.
I can't really update you on. So we'd start to model it.
Ordine
And then
compilato.
we'd wait, and then at a certain point, the staff would brief the FOMC and say, these are the likely effects. There's lots and lots of literature on the effects of
Pause rate cuts in December. What kind of economic data would lead you to that path?
Ordine inviato.
So we haven't
Riempito di
made any
fermata.
decision like that at all. But we're in the process, as I mentioned, of moving policy down, our stance down over time to more neutral level. And as a general matter, as we move ahead, we are prepared to adjust our assessments of the appropriate pace and destination as the out. So that's one thing. The other thing is, I'd say look at the labor market, not a source of inflationary pressures. Where is it coming from? It's not a very tight economy. What is the story about inflation? You see that catch-up inflation also in insurance and several other areas. So you're seeing, we're not declaring victory, obviously, but we feel like the story is very consistent with inflation continuing to come down on a bumpy path over the next couple of years and settling around 2%.
Target
That
filled.
story is intact, and it won't be one or two really good data months or bad data months aren't going to really change the pattern at this point now that we're this far into the process.
So are you quickly trying to get to that neutral rate that you see, or do you foresee that you have some time to get there?
Nothing in the economic data suggests that the committee has any need to be in a hurry.